Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Taco Tuesday edition of The Rundown. I am your host, and I guess you would call me Chief Taco Chef, Craig DeLuz. And with me as my sous chef is our good friend. I'll let him introduce himself.
I am the sous chef. Yes, I am. Did you know sous means under in France? In French, it's sous means under. It's the under chef. A little bit of trivia there for you. Hey, my name is Mike Porsky. I am the co-host for today's Taco Slinging Man, Craig DeLuz.
That's right. We are slinging hot goodness out into the Webernets, talking about whatever news, 2A news with conservative views that are out there. So, well, hey, I think maybe we should just get the party started. What do you think?
Let's do it. Let's go with tortilla, meat, cilantro, and onions. Let's just go basic, baby. Keep it to hard and fast.
We're going to start with the meat, and the meat is the Second Amendment. Now, you guys all know that the Second Amendment talks about the right to keep and bear arms. And frequently when we talk about it, we talk about the right to keep means the right to own or possess a firearm, at least in your home. And then bear arms means the ability to have it with you. Well, unfortunately, Heller, the most preeminent, Heller and McDonald, the most preeminent Second Amendment decisions that have taken place in our lifetime, didn't really clarify whether or not you had a right to possess or own or carry a firearm outside of your home. Well, guess what? The Supreme Court is taking up a case where we're going to figure out just that.
Bear arms, Craig. I got bear arms.
Bear arms. He's got his bear arms going.
Sorry, the shirt's too snug around the arms to crank it up. It's a gun show, baby. Get your tickets right here.
Welcome to the gun show.
Just like that. First 3 minutes off the rails. Here we go.
Exactly.
Craig, this has the opportunity to be huge. You know, we have sat here and we have had this conversation for 10 years now, since McDonald came out. When's the next one? When's the next one? The Supreme Court, you and I've talked about it, has turned down a number of decent ones over the past couple of years. And I really believe that's because the justices wanted to wait until the numbers gave them a slam dunk. The wingnut here, let's talk about the makeup of the court first. The wingnut here has been the Chief Justice John Roberts. If you go back and look at Roberts' his stance on many items prior to the court getting tighter, when it was still 6-3 decisions, 7-2 decisions, that kind of thing. You know, back in the when he was first appointed during the Bush years, he was usually right there on the conservative side. He liked to be in the majority. As President Obama came in, was able to appoint justices, and then we got to where he became the deciding vote, and he really liked being the deciding vote as the Chief Justice, and he took that rather well. Well, once again, we've got some Republican nominations, some Republican judges on there now from the nomination from President Trump. So he's back to no longer being the fence sitter. He's back to being part of the majority. He either wants to be part of the majority or the deciding vote. Well, at this point, he's no way he could be the deciding vote.
Nope.
He's back to being part of the majority. So I think when we see these votes come out, it's going to be a 6-3 majority because of the Second Amendment. Now, let's jump into what's at risk. What's at stake here, Craig? I mean, with the Second Amendment.
Well, what is at stake here is whether or not you have a fundamental human right to defend yourself outside of your home. I mean, right now, if you would have us to believe it, what the Supreme Court, or at least what courts and a number of left-wing lower courts are trying to tell us is, yeah, you have a right to defend yourself in your home. But as soon as you step outside of your home or off your own property, that right goes away. Well, you have a bunch of anti-gunners who that's what they want us to believe. Well, that is just not the case. Or at least I don't believe it's the case. And I think that's what's really at stake here. It's not about open carry versus concealed carry. It's about, do you have a right to defend yourself outside of your home? Do you have the same right that you have in your home? And I think you're going to start to, and I think the other thing that's going to probably be discussed in this is what sort of regulations / restrictions are they going to allow government to place on that right?
Yeah, this is there's three big things that I could see, and maybe one minor thing here that this case can look at. Again, this is another one at a New York State Rifle and Pistol Association being taken the lead on this one. The first, like you said, is the may issue versus the shall issue. That was the first complaint here, is that in New York, it is a shall issue depending upon your chief law enforcement officer where you live. And New York has said, many of these jurisdictions in New York have said the same way DC used to say is that the only way you could show an imminent danger is if you're currently under attack, if you're currently the victim of a crime. And once that's over, you're no longer an imminent threat because the attack's now over. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. They used to say, that's what they said in DC. Kathy Lanier, when she was chief down there, said, unless you're actively the victim of the felony, you are not in an imminent danger.
Oh, dude. We have the same exact thing in California.
Yeah.
In some counties in California, you have like Sacramento County is over 10,000 permits issued, right? You have other counties where have even more. But then you have places like San Francisco County where they have about 5 or 6 permits in the entire county. And all of those are given to people who have some sort of a tie to law enforcement.
Sure they do. Yeah. Judges, friends, or barber, or dentist, that kind of stuff, and the chiefs, golfing buddies. That's what you get. That's what you get when you get tyranny, by the way. And Craig, so this is the first possibility, is that the whole may thing versus shall issue could be gone. This could immediately turn into a shall issue. This could say may is gone. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, not you might have the right to bear arms. It's you shall have the right to bear arms. This brings up the second question. The second portion of this, Greg, is, okay, if you have the right to bear arms, where does it say you have the right to bear arms only if I pass a permit test, or if I take some training, or if I go along those lines? So now we're looking at, wow, okay, maybe I have the right to carry just based upon the Constitution. And then from there, this issue is, well, if I have the right to carry, is that the right to open carry or conceal carry? Maybe that's the bone they throw back to states and cities, saying you can control one of them, but the other has to be available for them to do as a constitutional right. So there's so many ways this could go, and I really think it's going to hit 3 major issues that they're going to cover with this. This is, like you and I talked about, that they didn't want to take up a case that got them a walk or a single. They wanted a double, they want a triple, maybe even a home run with this one. This is the case that could clarify gun rights for good forever here.
Well, I don't know about forever, because we all know how now that the left is talking, anti-gunners are talking about court packing. We don't know how long forever will last if they get their way, but it will make a huge difference. And hopefully, whatever they decide, and I believe it's going to be a good decision. I believe it's going to be a decision about supporting our rights. I'm just hoping that the Supreme Court does a better job of actually defending and enforcing their ruling, a better job than they did with Heller and McDonald. Because I'm sorry, lower courts have just done everything possible to try and get around, go around, climb over Heller, and really, quite frankly, try to ignore it.
Agreed. But this, like I said, this case here, this is the kind of case that could set federal preemption and say, folks, here it is. This is it. It's done.
I like it. I like it. And the thing is, the funny part about it is that, yes, it's going to make it done, but we know the left never quits, right? And the left, we're not the left. I mean, yes, well, the left, but the anti-gun left in particular is what I'm talking about. But we know that they never quit. We know that they are wholly committed, and they're going to find every nook, cranny, every way to twist things, every which way they can, in order to try and violate and come against our fundamental rights. Much like an ally or an individual who was a part of the Clinton and Obama administrations, who basically came out and wrote an op-ed in Politico, basically noting or saying that President Biden should declare gun control to be a national security issue in order to get it passed through Congress.
You remember how this started out, Craig? This was a national health issue.
Right.
Remember, if we look at it from a health issue, we could force it through, convince people, cajole them, change their minds, because it's all about the health of the children, right? So we have to make it about a health issue. Well, they found themselves another angle because the health issue didn't stick. So let's see how long it takes for national security to play. Now they're worried about national security, Craig. Not worried about national security and everything that led up to that Bill Clinton did that led up to 9/11 occurring. We're worried about it then. We're worried about the reports then. But now here we are, almost 20 years later after 9/11. Now they're worried about national security.
Here's what it reminds me of, and it makes me think of this. Abraham Lincoln once asked a group, an audience, he once asked them, okay, so if we call a dog's tail a leg. How many legs does a dog have?
Yeah.
How many?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many legs does he have? I'm asking.
A dog has 4 legs.
Right, because just because you call a tail a leg doesn't mean it's a leg.
Exactly right.
Just because you call it a health issue doesn't make it a health issue. Just because you call it a national security crisis doesn't mean it has anything to do with national security.
But if we call it that enough and we say it over and over again, if we get the media to say it, guess what people start to believe it is? Because that's what we see happening today.
Well, because we know that the media is just going to parrot whatever they tell them to parrot.
Yes.
We know that. We know this already. If there was one thing that the best thing, in my opinion, that came out of, other than Supreme Court justices, the best thing that came out of the Donald Trump era was that the media has been fully exposed. They can no longer claim objectivity. They can no longer claim to not be biased. They have literally proven that they are in a camp, and it's not the camp that sides with truth, liberty, and justice. It is left-wing political correctness, of wokeness, of and of Marxism is the side they've chosen.
Yeah, listen, we know this. We saw this, like you said, we saw this happen with Trump. The previous Republicans administration, when George W. Bush was in office, they obviously gave it to him as well. But everybody said, and all the media said, no, it's not fair. It's not fair. And listen, W handled it differently. He went with his father's method of handling it. Stay above it, stay bigger than it. Don't worry about it. And it ended up hurting him a lot during his presidency also. He didn't get things he wanted. They made him. They still making him out to look like the buffoon, even though he's one of the smartest guys ever. Ran a damn country for 8 years. You don't get to be in that top job unless you do something right, and that goes for all presidents. You managed to get in there, but yeah, not President Trump. They said something to him, and he just went, bam, in the face.
He just
nailed him.
Well, hey, you know what? Talking about getting punched in the face. Well, a lot of us forgot about the 2020 census and totally didn't realize, I forgot that, with things like the 2020 census doesn't just come like information about where resources need to go. There's also realignment of legislative and electoral districts. And one of those has to do with Congress. And interestingly enough, there are a number of states, 7 to be exact, that are going to actually be losing congressional seats. And among them are California and New York, which will each be losing seats in Congress. Now, here's why that's interesting to me, Mike. Because in places like California, that there was a huge influx of illegal immigrants.
Yes.
Right? Over the last 10 years. We know this. Yes. And we know that while we really shouldn't be counting those who are not citizens towards anything, including congressional representation, we know they're going to be counted. The other thing that we know is that, this was done in 2020, and there's been a mass exodus from many of California's larger cities outside of the state. So I'm wondering, how many seats should places like California and New York, how many should they actually have lost?
Yeah, a lot more for sure. And let's be clear on this. The reason those places are losing their seats is because their population went down, because their population decided to move elsewhere. And when the number of your population goes down, the number of your representative goes down accordingly. So that's what's happened there. Listen, Craig, this was one of the big issues with President Trump with the census, is he wanted to put on there those people that were here legally in the country and those that were not here as citizens. So it was that's what it was. It was listed as non-citizens, because guess what? If you do the census and you're a non-citizen, then you're not counted towards your congressional representation, because it's representation of people legally here in the country, of citizens, U.S. citizens. And that's why this was such a big deal back then. And you know what? They've lost them. California's lost them. New York's lost them. Hey, that's great for me. I'm sitting in Florida. I'm sure Texas is getting more also. We're all going to pick up all your lame votes. Just remember, folks, when you get here, don't vote the stupid way you did up north or out west.
Well, think about this. Now, the states that are losing, you have California, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. And really, the only one of those that can be considered, moderate, well, maybe Pennsylvania and West Virginia, but is really Ohio. But those that are gaining are going to be Colorado, Florida, Montana, North Carolina, and Oregon. Now, sadly, Oregon and some of these are going to actually gain are going to be gaining because, well, there are Californians with some stinking thinking moving to your state. I apologize for them now, but hey, we're going to share the love or the hate.
Listen, Oregon has become the place that people flee Seattle from, or excuse me, flee Washington State from, and California from. So
Yeah.
they get it from both sides. And it's funny because the people fleeing California and Washington State that are going to Oregon, they're going to Oregon because it's less liberal. It's still liberal, but it's less liberal. So they're getting the moderate liberals in Oregon. It's kind of a whole weird dynamic there.
Yeah, Oregon used to be very libertarian minded.
Yes.
And now, pretty much Portland runs everything.
Yes.
Much as LA runs everything in California.
Exactly. Exactamundo. Yep.
But you know what? There's a reason why people are leaving these states. And that's because you have certain municipalities that are actually offering bounties. They are encouraging paying up to $20,000 in order to get remote workers to move to their small states or small towns.
I thought they were leaving for global warming. Silly me. This is you're exactly right, Craig. They're getting out of town. Listen, they've been working at home now for what over a year with the COVID stuff. Mm-hmm. So that and they've realized that they don't have to stay and live in those places, in those jurisdictions. So I don't need to sit my butt in California and pay 65% tax so nobody can go outside and have a meal except for Gavin Newsom. It's ridiculous to watch what's going on there. And they finally realized, wait a second. I don't need to be here in California. And, XYZ widget company is offering me $20,000 to move to Idaho and work there. Well, all I have to do is sit in my living room and work.
Well, not just that. You have companies like Salesforce had several million square feet of rental property, of lease, business property, commercial property leased in the state of, in the city of San Francisco. And they've decided we're not reopening our office. We'll probably open up a small little space, but we're going to allow all of our employees to work remotely from wherever they're at. And so you have employees not just leaving San Francisco for other parts of California, more affordable parts of California, they're leaving the entire state. And now you have places that are literally paying a bounty for these folks to move to their state.
Yep. In the name of Phil Robertson, he gone. He gone.
He gone.
They just up and leaving. He gone.
He gone.
They're leaving.
Oh, man. So, hey, talking about he gone. Now, there's an official, and if you haven't read it in the New York Post, there's an official. This guy worked with the Obama administration. He was a deputy secretary of scientists, and he was a part of the whole conversation relating to climate change during that administration. And one of the things he decided to do during that time was to actually do kind of a test, a stress test. This is, by the way, what real scientists do. They look at their theories and the things that they're saying, and then they put them to the test and see, can these stand up to scrutiny, right? Can I actually look and find information out there? If there's out there that comes up against it, can it withstand it? And the interesting thing about it was what he found was that the entire argument that they had out there, that they were pushing out there, that the climate change community was pushing out there, was all a fallacy. In fact, every single time someone brought up information that was contrary to the mantra, they were shouted down, they lost their funding, they were treated like pariahs. Even if you go to both, whether it's the UN or you go even to various different reports put out by the United States, one of the things that it notes is, for example, the Earth is not. There are no more heat waves now than there were in the 1900s. The polar ice cap is not melting any faster now than it was 100 years ago. And every time you bring up inconvenient facts like this, you are shouted down and left as a pariah. So when they say the science is settled, they are lying.
Yeah, you get accused of being a climate racist. That's what you are. You're a climate racist. Craig, we're the same age. Do you remember back in the old elementary school, maybe even into middle school? Do you remember what was predicted to happen with the climate back then?
Oh, it was supposed to be freeze. It was supposed to be a freeze. We were all supposed
New
to
ice
be
age.
new
We
ice
were
age.
the new.
Yep.
We had another ice age coming. Remember,
Right.
they were all positive. All the scientific minds under Jimmy Carter, all the scientific minds under Jimmy Carter insisted we were about to get ourselves an ice age. It was coming. They did all the advertising for it. It was kind of like the metric system. You know, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And it just never happened. It just never happened here. And we got no ice age. Then it goes away. Nobody ever talked about it. It was literally like overnight. They were like, don't talk about it anymore. And we didn't. And we didn't hear about climate change and everything else again until Al Gore, was the vice president. And then we heard all about it again. And then guess what? Under George Bush, kind of went away, right? And under George Herbert Walker Bush, and then it all went away. Then Obama showed up. Oh, now it's not even global warming, Craig. It was what is it? When it's
well, they call it
crisis.
climate. They call it climate
crisis.
change, climate crisis now because see they had to get away because they tried global cooling, then they tried global warming. Now they don't know, so they just call it climate change. Yep. And because that way, no matter which way it goes, they know that they're right. But once again, you look at their own reports. You look at the government's own reports. Humans have had no detectable impact on hurricanes over the past century. Greenland's ice sheet isn't shrinking any more or any rapidly than it was 80 years ago. The global area burned by wildfires has declined more than 25% since 2003, and 2020 was one of the lowest years on record.
Yep.
What are they talking about when they say that there's a climate crisis?
Yeah, they're talking about fear. They're talking about control. It's the same thing we see from this party over and over again. Give you fear, and then we will control. We will give you more regulations where we get to own you. We get to make more money. You get to make less, and we will have fear, and we will control you.
That's you're 100% correct. That is all it is about, and it's about propaganda, and it's about propaganda based on a fallacy, right?
Yep.
Based on
Yep.
ignorance and a fallacy. And the thing is that they hope that you and I aren't smart enough to get it.
Yep.
Yeah, very much like, like we've been hitting and going into our parting shot, very much like we've been hitting on LeBron for the last few days about, his whole tweet where he actually threatened a law enforcement officer who saved the life of a young black woman, a young black girl who was about to be stabbed. He decided he wanted to threaten him, basically put his picture, everything out there on social media. But the interesting thing is and I really appreciate how so many people are going after and putting out there, look, I'm sorry, dude. You know what? You don't know what you're talking about. And you really probably need to stop trying to comment on things you know nothing about. I think this officer in this particular video says it better than either of us could.
Dispatch, I've arrived at that disturbance. Will you have LeBron call my cell phone right away, please? Thank you. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. No, can you put the knife down, please, sir? Sir, no, sir, don't stab it. No, stop stabbing. Stop. Oh, hold on. It's LeBron. LeBron, hey, yeah, it's me again. Listen, I'm out here at this disturbance call, and there's a guy trying to stab another guy with a knife. What do you think I should do? Why does that matter? Okay, well, they're both black. One guy's trying to stab another guy with a knife. Deadly force is completely justified. Uh-huh. I see. So you don't care if a black person kills another black person, but you do care if a white cop kills a black person, even if he's doing it to save the life of another black person? I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but then again, you are really good at basketball, so I guess I'll take your word for it. All right. Yep. Okay. All right. Thanks, LeBron. Michael Jordan's the GOAT. What? Nothing. I gotta go. Sorry, guys. You're on your own. Good luck.
I just hope this officer doesn't get in trouble at his work for being, racially insensitive or some crap that they're going to make up, because he freaking nails it, Greg. He nails it. He goes right. Hold on. I know you're a great basketball player. Can you tell me how to handle this? Okay. I'll do that.
And here's the thing, man. There are a lot of things that LeBron is very smart at. Dude is a savant on the court. He is a coach on the court. He really is. And he's good, not just because he has the physical attributes, but because he's smart when it comes to basketball. He studies. He's a student of the game. But dude, you're not a cop. You're not.
Nope.
You're not in law enforcement. I mean, you're not even Shaq, where you carry around a fake badge, right?
Hey, Shaq's been a cop for 20 years, and I've had the honor of working with him in law enforcement. And I'm telling you, that man is dead serious, and he's taken every bit of training that every active law enforcement officer has ever taken. He really is there. And I'm telling you, at some point in the next 10 or 15 years, he's going to be sheriff of some county in Georgia or Florida. I guarantee it.
It's probably going to be Florida. My money's on Florida. If that happens, it's going to be Florida.
Serious as a heart attack. He's right there. Yeah, this guy, LeBron, that's what he needs to do. He needs to go get with Shaq and maybe do a couple of ride-alongs and see what it's really like. Shut your damn savant basketball pie hole and see how it's done out in the rest of the world.
Exactamundo. Just, once again, here's LeBron, let me tell you something. We're all ignorant about something. We all are. The key is don't use your huge public platform to comment on something that you're ignorant about, because then you just look ignorant.
Yeah, listen, LeBron, just stick to basketball. You're doing a great job. You help the community. You give out lots of money, and Michael Jordan's a GOAT.
There you go. I'm with you. On that note, wait, mic drop. All right, folks. Well, hey, that's going to be it for this episode of The Rundown. We very much appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing these videos, telling your friends about The Rundown. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you do it. I believe I can fly.
All right. We will be seeing you all on Hump Day.
Hump Day.